motion has been made. Put a reenactment clause on, and delegate, I guess you resist that.
No, whatever the will of the committee is, I mean, y'all are, you know, I mean, you're in charge of the situation, so. I mean, I defer to your. I defer to your, you know.
Motion's been made and seconded to add a reenactment clause. Discussion of that. All right. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. All right. Mr. Deeds.
You said that this bill is 90 to 95% of the rule. I want to know what the differences are.
That may be a little hard to go through. The rule has a paragraph about community service, as Senator McDougall referenced. That paragraph is not specifically in the new statute. It is current law as far as community service. The rule is written differently, but in content it is 90 to probably 95% the same. There was some language deleted in the substitute. For example, in determining the length of time to pay under a payment agreement, a court shall take into account a couple of different factors, two different factors as the bill is filed and in the rule, and the one about whether the defendant has been determined to be indigent was deleted, and that is in the rule. Another thing, that the length of the payment agreement and the amount of the payments shall be reasonable in light of the defendant's financial resources and obligations. And in the bill, it does not include the language shall not be based solely on the amount of the fines and costs. That language is in the rule. There are a couple of other changes. The rule says that the court may require a down payment to enter into a subsequent payment agreement, and that was changed to be shall over on the House side, where it's may in the rule, I believe. The other somewhat bigger item for bigger jurisdictions is if there's going to be a modification of a payment plan, the court has to have a hearing, and that is not required under the rule. We would have a small concern just about that one provision, because for Fairfax, Virginia Beach, the larger jurisdictions, having a hearing every time the defendant wants the modification of a payment plan would result in a lot of hearings. That may not be all of them, but that is the gist of them, and there may be one or two other small ones.
I think I heard her say that on line 107 that a court shall require a down payment as a condition of the defendant's entering into a payment plan. We changed the shall to may. No, I'm looking at my substitute that's online. Okay, in other words, the court was saying you shall require a down payment, and we changed shall to may. So I don't want to leave y'all with the impression that we were harsher, even though we typically are. Do you see that on line 107?
Exhibit A.
Okay. So just for the record, this is the one time when we were not as harsh.
I wanted to note that with this and the one other bill that Doug Bell carried, the House has been solved and the Senate is all in order. Just make sure that's clear.
All right, let's hear from people who'd like to speak in favor of this. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, almost this afternoon. I'm Kim Bobo. I'm the director of the Virginia Interfaith Center for Public Policy. I have a number of people with me, primarily clergy and religious leaders, who came here to support this bill. This problem of driver's license is not a small problem. It affects 900,000 people in Virginia, so it's a huge problem. It's not one that we think should only be done via a rule. We think codifying it is the right way to go. I am so grateful for Delegate Lee Posse's work on this. And again, extending this another year doesn't seem to us to be the right thing to do. We would like it move forward. Again, we see poor people in our congregations who are trying to do the right thing, and they can't because they're burdened with these court fines and fees, and they can't get a job to pay back the court fines and fees. So this is a common sense proposal, and we urge you to support it.
Well, and I would say that Delegate Luposse has worked hard on this for a number of years.
Yes,
So,
he has, and we thank him for his work.
And it's got a ways to travel, so we'll see whether it's got, has an extra year attached to it today. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, members, I'm Reverend Charles Summers, the Presbytery of the James Public Policy Group, and we support this work and the effort to keep people from losing their driver's licenses, which in our system is the way you go to work.
Mr. Chairman,
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Go ahead.
you're aware that, both of you are aware that there are other bills on this very issue too.
All right, the bill as amended is before us. Is there a motion? So move to take the bill be reported. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, the bill reports. As amended. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
And the only comment, one last bill, I think that will be it for today. Now we'll note after this bill, if we take action on this, we'll have 21 remaining.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ladies and gentlemen,
Bill number is 1546. That number, 1546.
to begin with, Mr. Chairman, you and I discussed, we are going to make a quick amendment to add pro se defendants in 2 locations.
That's right, Mr. Chairman, on line 13, afterwards for either party, insert or a pro se defendant. And on line 21, after the words counsel for the defendant, insert comma, a pro se defendant, comma. Also, the word "the" should go in front of attorney for the Commonwealth.
All right. Senator Stewart makes that amendment. Seconded by Senator Stanley. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed. Let's tell us the situation that brings this to you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, in my home jurisdiction, we had an individual who was convicted of murder. He was sentenced to 2 life terms plus 25 years. When he asked for a copy of his file, his defense counsel provided him with a list of jurors and their addresses. The defendant then wrote letters to each one threatening to burn their houses down if they did not put $1,000 into his jail account. Obviously, when you're facing 2 life sentences plus 25 years, a couple Class 6 felonies for threatening a juror is not necessarily something they care about. This is the best I think we can do given some rulings from the 4th Circuit and 2 other courts, and to still have the openness of the judicial process while still trying to protect the judicial process by protecting your jurors who are basically volunteering to participate. So basically this prevents this can be still shared with, you can still sit down with your defendant client and say, do you know Joe Smith, who lives on 123 Main Street? And he says, no, I don't know Joe Smith. Okay. But you can't say, here's a list of jurors with their addresses. Please, take a look at this, give me a call back.
So you don't anticipate that this will restrict the ability of defense counsel to get all of the usual information that may have been contained in juror questionnaires?
Correct. And the main emphasis here also is after the case is concluded, then the information is not to be provided except for order by the court. So while the case is still going on, so you get your list of 30 jurors. If you have no jury trial before you get a list of 30 jurors plus, and it's their name, address, occupation, and age. Obviously, that's a lot of identifying information. So we're just trying to prevent the defendant from having that information, but it does not prevent the defense counsel from having the information, nor does it prevent the defense counsel from providing an adequate defense by discussing the juror list with the defendant. It just simply prevents defendant from getting that list at some point in time. There's some other avenues, obviously you guys have through some hoops. But obviously if someone wants to represent themselves, we do not want to keep them from having a juror list and not being able to represent themselves adequately, and that's the reason for the amendment. So if I consider myself a sovereign citizen, and therefore I want to represent myself, I can then get the jurors list.
All right. Steve, do you have any concerns about this as amended?
The amendments are good. The only policy consideration for the committee is this. In high-profile cases, we have the problem of potential jurors who have an agenda. And they may decide, if I get on that jury, I am going to convict or I'm going to acquit, and make up their minds, but they won't disclose it during voir dire. The antidote to that is the hope that in high-profile cases, people looking at the identities of the potential jurors may know that that juror is a potential problem juror, and that information will find its way to the responsible parties. If there's no way for the public or others to know about the identities of the jurors, then we've lost that opportunity.
And to answer that question, the Fourth Circuit ruling, and I actually have a case here, it was actually in reference to Baltimore Sun. They, in essence, say you cannot prevent a third party from not knowing the identity of the jurors. However, this provides just one onus on those individuals to say they have to go to the court and request the information. There is no basis to say for good cause, there's good cause shown, but the Fourth Circuit has said good cause is I want to know who these people are because the judicial process requires me to have openness of government. So now the Supreme Court has never ruled on any of these opinions from the lower courts. But I don't think that's because the Supreme Court has any particular issue with that. I think they just, the Fourth Circuit and the Ninth Circuits, and both come out with rulings that state that.
I could just address the council. Is this really necessary? We already have a significant language in here that the court for good cause shown, and that good cause is pretty broad. Can prevent releasing this personal information is in the code currently. Isn't that better and covers the waterfront, council? Or what does this add? How is this better than the existing law?
It's solely a policy question.
Well, Mr. Chairman, what's the difference, I guess?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would respond to
that. The council, if he can explain first, and then you don't mind. Because I don't see that it adds anything. Or maybe he's not sure.
Give him a second.
All right, on line 12, the bill substitutes name and home address of a juror for personal information.
The personal information is broader, is it not?
And then additional personal information, that is information additional to name and home address, can only be provided to counsel for the defendant, a pro se defendant, or the prosecutor. And so that diminishes the opportunity of the court to enter an order simply regulating its disclosure if it is an outright prohibition on the disclosure to anyone other than the litigants.
Mr. Chairman, I would also just say in response that the individual in the case that we had locally, and there's also two other cases that have occurred this past year as well where judges declared mistrials because defendants were able to get a hold of the jury list through other means, and the judges decided that they would rather declare a mistrial than risk the names and addresses being disseminated to the defendants. In this case, the defendant did not show any kind of temperament towards the judicial process. As he's charged with first degree murder, but so what good cause is there to prevent him from getting it, other than he's charged with murder? And this now says, no, the shoe's on the other foot, so there's more additional protections.
Maybe the Commonwealth's attorneys would like to be heard.
Mr. Chairman, there's only one other question. The existing law that also provides the Supreme Court shall prescribe rules and so forth to protect the jurors, their information. I mean, I've seen instances where the courts have said, this is going to remain confidential. Nobody's going to know who these people are. We've seen some high-profile cases like that. It doesn't need to.
Well, right, and here's the deal. So we know that in a RICO case or a gang case, we know that we probably don't want the jurors to be known out there. But then for other cases, we've taken no action, and we end up having the situation we have now. So that's the issue. And I'm not trying to pass a singular bill for a singular problem. This is a problem that's happened in other courts through the Commonwealth this year.
So the statute as it's written is vague, and this gives the court more direct, specific guidance.
Correct.
All right, Commonwealth attorneys.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members, Brian Madden, Commonwealth Attorney, Warren County, Commonwealth Attorneys Association supports the bill 100%.
Thank you. All right. Right.
Good morning, Maureen Jankowski, Asian Defense Commission. I've worked with the delegate and expressed some of my concerns, but when I read this, I think it can limit my ability to share the names of the jurors, any other identifying information with my client during the selecting and paneling of jury. And I don't think you can limit that. I think that the defendant has a right to be fully engaged in the selection and paneling of their jury. And this raises some concerns with that it would impinge on that.
Isn't that right?
Well, but I think the delegate and Steve,
He seems to be correct. The defense attorney would have to get an order from the court permitting him to disclose the information to the client. And there are many instances where a defense attorney would want to explain or disclose that information to the defendant in the process of jury selection.
I mean, in a civil trial, I would never go to trial without letting my client know who the potential jurors are. And, yeah, I figured. And it's so that if they had an issue with a particular juror, they could flag that for me. I understand, and it may come too late if they're sitting in the courtroom and recognize them and they recognize the name. I thought that the delegate indicated that he could, under this, and I'm not sure I see the language where, but could under this sit down and walk through the names of the jurors, but not providing the specific information. You're saying he's got to go get work.
And that's concerning. I mean, when you strike a jury, you sit there, you look at the list, you say, oh, hey, he works at Anthem, didn't your father work at Anthem? Hey, he lives in the same neighborhood. You're going through all that information, and I think the defendant has a right to be fully engaged in that selection process.
Yeah, I guess that at some point the exception probably swallows the rule, and you wind up right back where we started.
I don't have any problem with once the jury is in paneling, I don't need to keep that information to provide at a subsequent date, but during the paneling of the jury, I think that cannot be done.
Mr. Chair. The version of this bill, the substitute that I'm looking at online indicates that this only applies to jurors who have been impaneled in a criminal trial. So I don't read this as applying to jury selection.
That's right. There's the distinction. The Fourth Circuit came out with a very clear ruling that you cannot hide the ball, but you can seal the records, and then you have to be by court order to then say you have access to that.
Fair enough. To address your concern, right?
Yeah.
So, good point.
It is not.
That's a good point.
That's right. All right. Good job. All right, bills before us, as amended. Second. It's been moved and seconded, bill be reported as amended. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed?
No.
The bill is reported. Now I've got to explain it on the floor.
All right, thank you.
No, sorry. Do we call roll?
Senator Sadler. Senator Norman.
Yes.
Senator Howe. Senator Lucas. Senator Edwards.
No.
Senator McDougal.
Yes.
Senator Stewart.
Yes.
Senator Stanley.
No.
Senator Reeves.
Yes, my friends.
Senator Chafin.
No.
Senator Deeds.
No.
Senator Sturdivant.
Yes.
Senator Peterson.
No.
Senator Pete.
Yes.
Senator Overton.
Yes.
7 ayes, 8 nays.
Dang on. My hearing isn't as good as I thought it was. Without objection, bill will be passed by indefinitely on the reverse roll.
I'll be happy to go home and tell my yours. Thanks, sir.
All right, with that, we have 21 bills remaining in the committee. We've got to finish them on Wednesday. Committee will rise.